have new developments in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. In fact, this just in moments ago, a judge denied the defense's move for a mistrial. Diddy's lawyers asked the judge for a mistrial after arguing the prosecution made an unacceptable suggestion in front of the jury. So let's get right to Ron Chapman. He's a federal defense attorney, author of Truth and Persuasion in the Digital Revolution, and host of The Wall podcast. Welcome, Ron. First of all, so this is what we're learning right now. And again, this just happened in the courtroom. This mistrial request came from the defense. It was denied, the defense saying it was outrageous in their opinion when prosecutors appeared to suggest that Sean Diddy Combs destroyed fingerprints taken from Kid Cudi's house after the January 2012 bombing of his car. So what's going on here?
Let me break this down for your audience because it is so important when we look at the overall case. So first of all, when somebody is investigated as potentially being a suspect in a crime, fingerprints are taken. Likely these were taken voluntarily by Combs. The fingerprint cards reside in the police department, but when the person is not charged, that person can request that the fingerprint cards are destroyed or taken down. The government elicited testimony on the witness stand today that suggested that Combs somehow had those cards destroyed, despite the fact that that is a completely reasonable and lawful thing to request. The reality is that he was not charged for any involvement in the 2012 Molotov cocktail related to Kid Cudi's car, but the government wants to continue to assert that he had some wrongdoing there. I would say that in Judge Subramanian's words, this is outrageous and prejudicial conduct. That's what he called it, and it certainly does not show that the government is ahead in this case, or at least as ahead as they think they are.
Very interesting. Okay, so we're also learning that an arson investigator on the stand earlier testified that he believes someone targeted Kid Cudi's Porsche. What connection is he making, or what connection does the prosecution hope he makes here?
Yeah, this is really interesting because Kid Cudi said he thought it was related to Combs, and that testimony was allowed, which was quite surprising to me. But now this arson investigator said that he was investigating Diddy as a suspect in the Molotov cocktail bombing. But what has also happened is that there's been no link established between Combs or anybody else related to the Molotov cocktail, only this insinuation that there was violence related to Diddy, Cassie Ventura, and Cudi around that time, and that this must have been because of Diddy's order. But we don't expect the government to be able to tie this up, which is very problematic for their case. And remember, the reason why this is very important is because Cassie Ventura left Sean Puffy Combs for Kid Cudi. If there's no threat or violence related to that, then she has free will. And if she used free will to walk away from it, it looks much less likely for her to be the victim of trafficking.
Wow, so many details coming out. Now, we are just getting word from inside the courtroom that the arson investigator has wrapped. He's done. One of Cassie Ventura's friends is actually taking the stand now. There's also victim 4, Combs' former assistant, Mia. She is set to testify as well today. What do you think she's going to share, and how could her testimony connect allegations and specifically racketeering to Combs?
Yeah, this is going to be very difficult because we had Cassie Ventura testify. We're going to have Mia testify on the witness stand. And what the government is going to try to do is make Mia's statements and allegations look very similar to Cassie Ventura so that the jury will be able to piece these together and they will provide support. What the defense will do is they will pick away at Mia's story or try to make it look much different than Cassie Ventura's to show that even if they have issues with how they were treated, this wasn't some sort of racketeering scheme or conspiracy. I think when she gets on the stand, she's going to provide very similar information to Cassie Ventura. She probably has a knowledge of what Cassie Ventura has said and is probably very interested in corroborating the story in a very similar fashion to what Cassie Ventura did. I think, though, the way the witnesses have shaked out for the prosecution, there's going to be a lot of holes. I have to go back to the text message that we saw by Clark to Cassie Ventura, or the response that Cassie Ventura made. Who else am I going to date? Jay-Z is taken. That's something that was read in court during Clark's testimony and really cuts big holes in the prosecution's case here.
All right, we will continue to follow every twist, every turn, and every detail. Ron Chapman, thank you for joining us. Joe?